It is Friday, February 6th, 2026, and we've got some stuff to go over today. In this video, we will try to figure out what we could be seeing over the next couple of weeks across the lower 48 in the United States, as well as some shorter term things, including the thing that you just saw and you're seeing on your screen right now. We have a clipper diving through starting today into tomorrow that could bring some decent impacts to some areas. So we're going to go over all of that in today's video. Like this video if you like it, subscribe if you've not done so already, and please leave a comment down below where you're watching from. I would greatly appreciate it. So we're going to start this off using this tab right here. And this is the HRRR model for precipitation. And so we need to figure out where we are now. This would be right about now. We will look at current radar. So we're going to start this off here. Now, as we move this on in time, I gotta click on this down here first. You can see the axis of heaviest snow stays in Indiana, Ohio, down into Kentucky and West Virginia. Maybe getting into Virginia, and there's areas here where it gets down into Tennessee and North Carolina, Kentucky, but mainly West Virginia. So let's see here. Zoom back out, and now we just pull this on in time. There's an area of very heavy snow moving through like east central areas of Virginia, Richmond area. Doesn't last too long. You see these streamers of snow back here. These are northwest flow related. These are coming off the lakes. These could locally do quite a bit for your snowfall totals, so just watch for those. And it gets going in the northeast. This is getting into tomorrow morning and moves itself offshore. There's another clipper up here, but this is not nearly as large and should die off pretty quick. There's your radar. Here's what I only have West Virginia pulled up. I'm going to reload the page to make sure. This is what they're calling for in West Virginia. The only reason I have this specifically pulled up is because this is where you have the winter storm warnings issued right now. And it does show some surrounding areas, southern Ohio here. 2 inches is a widespread number. Southeast Pennsylvania, Southwest Pennsylvania, 1 to maybe as much as half a foot of snow in the highest elevated regions. Then you move into West Virginia, and very obviously you can see just where it turns to this light yellow color. If you look at a key, that is 6 inches or more, and this dark orange is 8 inches or more. There's even a little 12-inch or more, like tiny little orange, dark orange thing in there. That would be 12 inches or more. So east central areas of West Virginia and the highest elevated regions can expect quite a bit of snow based on the National Weather Service forecast. When it comes to ice, very little in this area. It's possible you see some freezing rain fall, but it's not going to really do a whole lot of anything. Lastly, we're going to look at accumulated wind gust as we have high wind warnings in a lot of areas along the Appalachian Mountains. We're going to start down here. It might be hard for you to tell where you're looking. This is upstate South Carolina. This is northern Georgia, western North Carolina. So the higher elevated regions in here, guys, I mean, that's 81 miles an hour. And showing up here, 84 miles an hour. I mean, very, very strong wind could be coming through today and to tonight with this clipper, even this far south. And you move north a little bit, I mean, areas of West Virginia that could see all this snow could also be very, very windy. So you could even have blizzard conditions. But you can see the Appalachian Mountains in this area. But I want you to note that even on the leeward side of the Appalachian Mountains, the downwind side, out just in the openness, I don't know how else to put it, just not in the mountains, the lower elevated regions, you still have 40s to as much as maybe 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts in the mid-Atlantic and southern northeast. That being said, we're going to move on from this event and move into our current conditions. This is our satellite loop as we're waking up today. You can see, and pause it here, we have some sort of low pressure out over the ocean, and all of this cloud cover associated with this clipper is diving south. I will, as usual, overlay the jet stream onto it here. I'm going to pinch zoom this just a little bit so you guys can see it. And you can see that we just have a broad southward dive here, just Arctic air kind of spilling down. This will usher in very cold air for areas of the Northeast. This area I just circled. We'll go over that later in the video. So there is that, and zoom this back out, get rid of that, and yeah. So So you can see the sun comes up. That is all we're going to look at with that. Here's the current radar, the last hour of it, and I think that the HRRR model initialized pretty well with the heaviest areas of snow moving through Indiana into Ohio right now as we are speaking. You might see this pink show up, and that it kind of comes in and out. That's the radar's best guess at what it's doing. You're in central and southern Indiana. You're kind of on a line of being too warm for just straight snow to happen, but you're also too cold for just straight rain to happen. So you get something like this. It could be freezing rain falling, but you're not expecting anything too crazy. This will move east and south with time, but this is the last hour or so of observations. So there's that. Watches, warnings, and advisories look like this. This map has continued to light up over the last 12 to 24 hours. I mean, this is just in the pink. Let's just focus on the highest criteria. It's very hard to see state borders with this map. I don't know why they're like that, but they are. This is in West Virginia, on the eastern areas of West Virginia, and you got these pinks, which are winter storm warnings in place, mainly for that just quite high amounts of snow. And then the only other really higher criteria warning I see are these kind of tan ones. These are high wind warnings. We just went over what those wind gusts could look like in some areas. Let's see. Moving north, we have winter weather advisories and cold weather advisories in all of Ohio, as well as a good chunk of Virginia. Indiana, these purple that you see over here are just for messy travel this morning and maybe into tomorrow morning as well. And then you move up into the northeast. These dark blue are extreme cold warnings, and there are cold weather advisories in other places, as well as extreme cold watches further to the north. So I honestly think it's possible that you guys up in the Northeast get some sort of winter weather related watch warning or advisory up in here. If I had to guess, you might get some winter weather advisories up in here just for a broad area of snow that develops, but it's possible you don't. Otherwise, the country is quite quiet. Down here, there's a rest. I mean, we switched the game up a little bit down here. I thought this was a winter storm warning. That's a red flag warning for fire danger. So wild weather going on in the U.S. right now. Well, let's get into our model guidance here. If you didn't notice already, I'm very tired. I just woke up, and I haven't woken up at 8 o'clock in quite some time, which might sound ridiculous to some of you, but I'll keep it real with you. So here we go. We're going to start this off with the Euro from overnight. Starting all model guidance like this off on Tuesday morning, getting past this clipper, any energy associated with it. You can see these red dotted lines on your map kind of arching up. That indicates a ridge. That's going to be warmer. That's why it's raining down to the south and not snow. We get to the 11th. There's some snow rolling to the northeast. And the 12th, the 13th, there's some energy rolling through the mid-south into the mid-Atlantic states and some snow maybe. But overall, too warm. Getting into the 14th here, we don't see a whole lot. Again, if you watched my video yesterday, I went over how this time frame has really gone away over the past 24 to 36 hours. We were kind of looking at the 10th through the 12th for areas of the northern plains into the Great Lakes, and then we were looking at the 12th through the 14th as a time frame for the deep south and the not necessarily the deep south, but the mid-south, the mid-Atlantic up into the northeast. And the Euro has dropped it. The energy just does not line up with the trough, and the moisture is not there. The cooler air is. And then here's something I want you to note. In the longer range, even longer range, say the 16th through the 19th, we have some sort of low pressure show up on the Euro that's kind of been doing this a few times. Here was the run before. There's energy in that area. They're still pretty far apart, and this is long range stuff. So you should expect this to flip flop back and forth, but that moves on through, and then there's some energy to the deep south. For example, you see a look like this, and then my automatic thought is to look at what the temperatures are. And yeah, so we're up near 70 degrees and a line of showers and storms. Those would likely be severe. But again, this is out in no man's land when it comes to forecasting, so don't pay it too much of attention. And we move this on. That is the last frame. So nothing too crazy showing up on the Euro at all. Now we switched up a little bit. We're gonna sprinkle in our AI guidance with it. So we're gonna start this off also on Tuesday. This is the Euro AI. And you see snow in the northeast getting into the 11th and some energy rolling through the um, east central areas of the country, very broad area moisture there. Getting into the 12th, you see that dark blue line start to sink to the south in the eastern US, just ever so slightly. So you get into the 13th, you have some sort of mixed bag of precipitation in the upper deep south, the mid south, lower mid Atlantic areas. Kind of goes away. Then your eyes should be drawn out west a little bit more. You have a big area of moisture in Texas and Oklahoma. This is getting into Saturday morning, not tomorrow, but the Saturday after that. I mean, this is under 200 hours when this thing could be starting. So we're getting closer. It's just going to take some time. And then we have a huge, rain bomb, moisture bomb in the deep south. And it starts to hit cold air damming in areas further to the east in the mountains. And this has the makings. It looks similar in setup to what the ice storm was set up like. I'm not saying it is that, but you can see as we move this on, more of that shows up. We do get snow. On this website, it says rain/snow mix. And then the purple color, the pink and purple would be sleet or ice. That's kind of um think about the brown as freezing rain. That's what I want you to think of it as. But there's a very broad area of freezing rain showing up along the Appalachians and even areas east of the Appalachian Mountains, getting into not this Sunday in 2 days, but the Sunday after. And our AI guidance has shown this. The last run, this is the run before that, and that's the last thing we have. So we have multiple runs here. It appears that the internet has gone out. Well, that is all I wanted to show you with the Euro AI. So we'll move on from it. Here's the GFS. We start this off Tuesday, roll our way through, and then it also shows something in the Northeast. Pretty decent snowfall event actually for areas in the Northeast getting into this coming Wednesday. That moves on out to Atlantic Canada. And then is there anything else? Well, we have some moisture. This is the 15th, but again, there's no given time frame here. It kind of just spins around out there, breaks apart, does weird things. This is the 17th, the 18th. So again, something's trying to go on in the northern and central areas of the country, but nothing put together quite like the Euro has. Some more rain for the deep south, and then this is the end of the run. I mean, you have a big low pressure rolling through the the Midwest, but the moisture's detached from it. It's just not a very put together look. So the AI GFS model. Start this off here. We have the Clipper dive through. I meant to start this off on Tuesday, so let's just get to Tuesday here. Here we go. Here we're starting off Tuesday. And you see a low up in the northern areas of the country getting some snow going. Areas of the Northeast. I think we might well see this. So it's another thing we kind of have to watch. It's now 3 models that have shown something pretty decent. But moving this on here. What does it do after? Here's the 13th, the 14th. You see a low out in the panhandle of Oklahoma. Where's it going to go? We may not have enough hours to do it, but hey, look, it's moving its way east. It's just it almost looks like a hurricane would on AI guidance. Just a big, almost circular blob of moisture. And it does not like the idea of freezing most any of it. It's kind of just a big rain bomb with maybe some snow in West Virginia. But for areas of western North Carolina, far eastern areas of Tennessee, up the Appalachian Mountains that we were looking at that freezing rain to happen, we don't see that as much. Now, this is nitpicky of me, but I am a nerd after all. Do you see how these dotted lines kind of buckle a little bit, ever so slightly? So you have those do that, and then the black lines kind of underlaid buckle too. That tells me that we have cold air damming going on. So I honestly think that the AI GFS, even though it does not show it, there would be freezing rain falling because it is even picking up on cold air damming occurring. If you've never heard of what that is, it's pretty much when you have a high pressure somewhere out in here. High pressures rotate like this. So a high pressure in there and a surface low to the south, that high pressure is pulling Arctic air down, and then it rides down we have the Appalachian Mountains, and here it rides down this way on the eastern side and gets kind of banked up against the Appalachian Mountains, and it stays there. It can provide for some very interesting weather. I can attest to that. I mean, I live in that area where it happens, and you'll be some days where it doesn't get out of the 50s, but areas of Georgia and low countries of South Carolina are in the 80s. I mean, it's very weird. It's happened before, but that's how it works. And then so we moved that rain bomb out, and that is the last frame. So it shows something. It's a little bit later, but it does show something. So here is the Canadian model, starting this off on the 10th. It's still holding on to that first time frame for some snow event in the northern plains. Could we get it? Yeah. Confidence has just decreased, I would say. It also moves something into the northeast. It's a little bit later though, but it does show it. Then here we go again. Here is early this coming Saturday, not tomorrow, but the Saturday after. Early morning this coming Saturday, we have some sort of big rain bomb rolling through the south. Now, for example, I mean, this is in the morning, so you wouldn't expect the temperatures to be too warm, but they're still in the 60s, kind of marginal temperatures. So could you get severe weather with that? Yes. Would I expect something major? No, not based off of that. If we move this on, it's kind of similar to the GFS AI. It almost looks identical. Gets some snow, but mainly just stays rain. So the only reason that I wouldn't think that this is trying to switch to freezing rain areas further south is you see this dotted blue line that says 540. That is your freezing line aloft, and it's well to the north. So that tells me you wouldn't get freezing rain down here. That's just my take on it. And it runs the low so close to this area that the cold air damming would erode. So it's another thing to consider. Afterwards, it moves on out, and that's the last frame we have. So not a whole lot of exciting stuff for snow weather fans. Now, here's some snowfall stuff. Here's the HRRR. The 12Z is running, but we'll use it because it's almost done. I mean, note like areas of lower Michigan here, and you're like, oh, we didn't get any. Well, you've already gotten some, so just pay attention to that. Really just focused in on Ohio, West Virginia. I mean, the HRRR model is honking the horn at some of these values being well easy to achieve here. So you see areas of West Virginia, pretty much all of West Virginia has measurable snow. And yeah, just a broad area of some snow on the ground. And you move into the northeast, you get, I think there's kind of a secondary area of moisture that gets going here as we move into the northeast. All of the northeast states. I mean, I would say that New York, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Vermont, New Hampshire, you guys are kind of all set for something. Now, when you get up into Maine, I think this moisture misses you, so you don't get a whole lot. Pennsylvania, most of it is dry, and then I mean you could nitpick and go all in this area. I don't think it's worth doing. But there's just a broad look, not anything crazy for you guys. Then we have the Euro for the same area, pretty similar stuff, except it is not honking the horn at as much as 6 inches, maybe 8 inches of snow. So I think, I mean, based on the National Weather Service graphic, these are not doing it justice. Now, if we use a different ratio, then you start to see them, but there's still not 8 inches showing up in there. So I think that's interesting. But I'll show you this. I think it's the most responsible way to do it. The values line up in other areas a little bit more, but it's a lot of the same story. It looks almost identical to the HRRR model. Not going to show you the GFS because I'm not going to show you it in the long range because there's nothing to show you, and we already showed you short range stuff. No reason to complicate things further. Here is the Euro ensemble. Just a broad. I mean, this is a pretty safe bet to get this much in any of these areas you see in blue. So there's that. The National Blend of Models has still been honking the horn at maybe as much as 10 inches falling, and I think we could see it. Based on the National Weather Service forecast, areas of West Virginia, East Central West Virginia could well see 10 inches, I would say. I think the National Blend of Models does well showing that there will be snow in the highest elevated regions down here with the northwest flow as it gets going. The HRRR I don't think shows a whole lot, and I think that that's not necessarily accurate. But I mean, I think it does a good job showing the highest elevated regions getting up near half a foot of snow. I think that's very possible. You roll up into the northeast, and this hits areas of coastal New England a little bit harder along the coast of extreme southern Maine. I'm getting my states, New Hampshire here, just right along the coastal areas and into Massachusetts could get up near half a foot of snow, maybe over. Out on the Cape, not a whole lot. This area of snow out here, you're thinking, oh, do we have time to trend this inland? Not really. This is something as the low gets going. You can kind of see how these streamers kind of point in. It's because we have a low right here with the wind going like this. So it's kind of getting some snow going on the backside, but you're not going to have time to trend this inland. It's already happening. So there's that. And then we go into our pattern. We're going to try to make this as simple as we can. This is the Euro Ensemble, very reliable. It makes up 51 different members, if I haven't said that before. And I'm going to draw on this a little bit to start off with. So if you've never seen this before, what you're looking at is the mid-levels, 500 millibars. That is about 3 or 4 miles above your head. And you're looking at the pressures in this level, whether they are above, that would be indicated by red, or below, indicated by blue, average with the pressures. That's what anomaly means. So we start this off Tuesday as well. And we move this on in time. You see that ridge in most of the U.S. that is causing a warm-up. I'd say the 10th or the 12th onward, most of the U.S. does warm up a decent amount. Now, afterwards, we get into the 13th, the 14th. So notice how we change patterns a little bit. We have a ridge in just the central, strictly the central areas of the U.S. We have a trough starting to enter the picture again in the eastern U.S., mainly just over land here that we focus on, and also a troughing signatures out west. So the fact that we have this trough in the eastern U.S. tells me that when this low kind of tracks across the U.S., like some of our model guidance shows, it will be below average temperature wise. I just don't know if it's enough below average to really be that cold that you need for a big winter weather event. So yeah, there's that. That's a change. And really the only reason that this looks so different and that we don't see these big cutting low pressures on all of our guidance is because looking at this here, you see a ridge signature in the north central US stick around the entire time that just blocks anything from happening, and it warms everything up too much. So that's why that happens. The Euro Ensemble has been excited about getting a ridge going again in the 16th through the 18th time frame along mainly just in the southeast. It's where it's focused on. But the western US, you guys are finally seeing troughing. This is, I think, might be your chance to finally catch up on winter a little bit. You guys have been ignored by the entire season. We move this on, and then towards the end of the run, this is the last frame. We've changed this a little bit as well, but most of the U.S. just kind of a neutral or slight troughing signature here. The fact that we have the blues kind of connect all the way from the Arctic down to the lower 48 tells me it could be cool in this time frame. So let's look at it. This is starting off. I've started this off a little bit earlier. I'm going to pinch zoom this so that it fits a little bit better. I started off a little bit earlier because this potent shot of cold air that's associated with this clipper, I just wanted to go over it. But yeah, those are as much as 20 degrees below average, and that is quite cold this time of year. And that could put your daytime highs in the 20s or so. So that's pretty cold. But that clipper moves out. It's cold air moves out. We get into the 10th, the 11th, and it shakes that cold air. Then we just have well above average temperatures in some areas. Now, you get into the 14th. You see those blues start to enter the eastern U.S. again. I'm telling you guys that if some things will change, we get a low that forms out here. And we have cold air, and it has a lot of moisture with it. If it goes like this, we will get frozen precipitation in the eastern U.S. Now, if that low kind of rides through the area, it would obviously bring the snow further to the south. But we have cooler air involved with this. But the moisture either doesn't line up or the cold air is not cold enough. It's just rain, maybe a cold rain. But that kind of sticks around in the eastern U.S. Move this on. Here's that secondary ridge. It could be even stronger with our temperatures being above average. And then you see, I mean, it's a very stark contrast. You see the western U.S. is quite cool. A solid 6 to as much as 8 degrees below average across everywhere. So do you see any like purples showing up? No, you don't, but this is also really long range. You wouldn't expect them to. I expect that that might increase. But taking it to the end here, even though we have a zonal look in the southeast, the southern, quarter or so of the country just remains warm. Really, the eastern US as a whole remains kind of warm. So, that being said, I would say that confidence has decreased a little bit. Let me get to the right tab here and just show you this as we finish off. So, confidence has not gone anywhere since yesterday, but from yesterday it had decreased. As of yesterday, it had decreased, I should say. I don't know what caused the upper air pattern to do what it did, but I would not say that it is doing something weird. We see model flips like this, and I think what we're seeing more than anything is that the the time frame itself was not perfect. I think the time frame now might be the 14th through the 15th for some sort of low. Not all model guidance shows it. The Euro does not show anything. And is it onto something? It could be, but at the same time, we have a lot of other model guidance that does, including AI. And the thing about AI, we don't know how good these models are yet. They've not been around long enough to be proven. But one thing we do know is that AI as a thing is pretty good at pattern recognition. So we like to use AI guidance, especially in the medium to long range, to try to snip out patterns. It might be onto something. The Euro AI, for example, could be onto something where we have a big freezing rain event in the Southern Appalachians again. I'm not saying that, but we could. Otherwise, I don't really see anything that's worth paying close attention to other than this clipper right now. So if you're in these areas, stay safe, enjoy the snow. I mean, this is not supposed to be some sort of high impact, you can't travel, can't do anything type of event. West Virginia, you guys be careful. 8 inches of snow is a lot, even for you guys. So just watch for that. And then Southern Appalachians, watch for that wind. Could be very windy, especially along the ridge tops, so pay attention to that. I'm actually going to Atlanta this evening for an Elevation Rhythm concert. Very excited about that. So I can't promise you a morning video tomorrow, just because I might be asleep. I might be tired. So we will see what happens. But nevertheless, I will see you guys tomorrow at some point. Thank you for watching, and I will see you then.